One of the most common questions that I do get is, well, what happens if I am actually allowed to use a calculator? Well, if you are able to use a calculator, this video is going to help you with exercise 2A in using your calculator. So if you're using your calculator, and I'm going to work backwards again, so if we look at example number 4 and we're using a calculator, I would simply go 42 divided by 100 times it by 1,800. So you need to still do this step where you have the 42 divided by 100 to get it into a decimal. If you already know what 42% is as a decimal, you could also just simply go 0.42 times 1,800. And you press equals, obviously, and you will get the same answer when using your calculator, okay? So that's my suggestion to you. Pick which way you feel more comfortable with, but it's simply just putting the whole thing in and getting your answer, and you should get the answer of 756. Working back to example number 3, once again, if you're using a calculator or if you've got a calculator handy, you can always check this. It's as simple as just going 93 divided by 100, 7 divided by 100, or 30 divided by 100. Pretty much exactly what I've written there for doing it the long way is the same way as using your calc. So no complications with that. It gets a little bit harder when we're dealing with fractions. And the best thing that you can do is know where your ABC button is. It kind of looks like this, okay? Now, if you're using the calculator that was on the book list, you should be able to locate this. Okay, so you need to find this button to help you out. When you're doing the calculation, all you have to do is make sure you clear your calculator, so there's nothing on the screen, and you go 37 divide by 100 and press equals. Once you've pressed equals, you then press that ABC button. Have a go. So this is what you're pressing on your calculator, okay? And what this will give you is if you keep pressing that ABC button, it changes it in and out of a fraction for you, all right? So what you probably see on your screen, on your calculator screen, is something that looks like this. It kind of looks like a bit of an R, but what that R stands for is the fraction button, okay? So that's just a way of putting the fraction line in for you. Have a go. Let's do the next one. We're going to do 58 divided by 100. Press equals, then press your ABC button, okay? And what you should have up on your screen is automatically 29, remember the little R, and 50. But remember that little R is your fraction line. So when you write it on your piece of paper in your test, it's 29 over 50, please. Okay? Alrighty, so that's using your fraction button. With C, there's a few more steps involved depending on whether you're going to convert it to a decimal or not. But I'm probably going to stick with it being 6.5 as a percent, okay? Remember, when you're changing it out of a percent into a fraction, you're always dividing it by 100. So this is what I would do if I were you. You type in 6 on your calculator, then you push your ABC button, then you type the 1. Then you press your ABC button again, and then you press 2. And then you type the 2, okay? So you've now, what you've told the calculator, 6 wholes and a half. That's what you've said on your calculator. Divide it by 100. Now, if I'm going to do this calculation right now, so if I go 6 ABC 1, ABC 2, divided by 100, press equals, it already puts it into fraction mode because you use the ABC button before you pressed equals. So it automatically puts it into a fraction. So the answer you get is the 13 with the little r, 200, which we know is 13 over 200. Look, press that ABC button again and you'll see it changes it to a decimal. Press it again and it changes it back to 13 over 100. So if you're ever in a test, that ABC button, once you've pressed equals, can convert it to a fraction or a decimal for you, for whatever you need it to do. So that's what I would be practicing. If I've said this a little bit too fast, press pause, try it on your own. Make sure you know how to use your calculator and make sure you also know how to do it without. So on our first example, okay, so the last one about how to use our calculator, we are changing it from a fraction into a percentage. So if I've got 19, divide it by 20, times it by 100 because I want it in a percentage. Press equals. You should get 95 as an answer on your calculator. Okay. So all this green writing I have is showing you how to use your calculator. 3 over 8. 3, divide it by 8, times it by 100 because I want it in a percentage. You should get an answer of 37.5%. Remember, if you press that ABC button, you will get it in fraction form. So it'd probably pick up as 37 R1 and the little R again 2. So if you press that ABC button, it changes it to a fraction. That's how it will look. And remember, that just means 37 wholes and a %. Okay, so don't feel that something's happened to your calculator. That's how it's supposed to look with the little R thing. Then 0.07, times it by 100 because I want it in a percent, and on your calculator you should get 7. And that, my friends, is how you use your calculator and how to do it without a calculator.